Tomtoc is one of my favorite travel brands for high quality gear at reasonable prices. They recently came out with some new updates to the popular Aviator T33 sling that I showed you a few months ago. And here I have several sizes and fabric options to show you. This is the new sling in the X-Pac fabric called the T35. I also have both models in the larger 3.5 liter versions. The Tomtoc naming convention can be a little bit confusing. These designs are very similar, but they're different names, more based on the fabric rather than the size. For example, the nylon ripstop version of this sling is called the Aviator T33. It's the smaller size at 1.5 liters, and this is the larger 3.5 liter. They're both called T33. Well, the newer update that I wanted to show you has almost the identical same design. There's some slight modifications, more waterproof X-Pac material and Aquaguard zippers, and this one is called the T35. Just to recap, T33 nylon, T35 X-Pac, 1.5 liter, 3.5 liter. As far as capacity goes, these two smaller models are both listed at 1.5 liters. They're basically identical dimensions in length and width, but there is some very slight differences in the depth. And you can see that a little better over here. This green model, the main section here in the bag, is just a little bit wider than this nylon T33 version. Same thing on the larger bags. The main compartment here is just slightly wider in the X-Pac model. These slings are a little small to do an accurate peanut test, but putting the dimensions into the calculator, I get 1.5 liters on the nylon and 1.6 on the X-Pac, so really barely a difference. Same thing over here, full external dimensions. This is 3.7 liters, this is 3.9. However, you do have a lot of padding interior pockets, which are going to eat up a little bit of the volume, so I'd say these are probably pretty close to the listed capacities. A little closer look at the materials on these slings. Again, the T33 has that nylon ripstop, while the T35 has the waterproof X-Pac fabric. Add to that the YKK Aquaguard on these two main zippers, and you get an extremely water-resistant, but not quite waterproof sling. As far as durability goes, I've used both these slings for approximately the same amount of time, pretty heavy use for several months each. There's no noticeable rips or tears in either of these pouches, but you can see the T33, because it has this lighter colored nylon, it is showing a little bit of dirt coloration. I don't know if that's maybe a coffee stain here on the bottom and around the zipper on the top of the pouch. Where I think the X-Pac version is holding up much better, and despite my consistent use on this pouch, it still looks pretty much brand new. And just in general, in terms of durability, the X-Pac is much thicker, stiffer, it's waterproof fabric, it's going to repel stains better, and it does have this extra piece of nylon on the bottom and the back to add a little bit of extra durability. So overall, I think these are both great options. Kind of depends on what your goals are. You have some trade-offs in the materials. The nylon, this is going to be a lighter, significantly cheaper sling. While the X-Pac, this is almost waterproof. This is more durable. It's a slightly heavier fabric, and it's about $18 more expensive. Now let's have a look at the pockets and organization on the T33 and 35 slings. They have pretty much identical designs in terms of pockets and orientation, with a few extra sleeves on the larger models. This front slash pocket here, you can see from the side, it kind of sticks out a little bit from the main compartment of the bag. So this has its own volume. That's not going to compete with space. Same thing with the larger size, sticks out a little bit, and all four of these are going to have a sewn-in key leash in this front pocket, whereas the larger models are going to have 2 additional fabric sleeves. The back pockets on slings is one of my favorite features. I use these a lot for smaller gear, cash, travel wallet, passport, or phone, depending on how I'm using it. A couple sizes of phones and a slight difference between the two models. This is a Pixel 8. It's going to fit in there easily. iPhone 15 in an OtterBox also fits in there easily. It's kind of hard to see, but even though these slings are the same length, the zipper on the T35 is a little bit longer, so actually it kind of prevents me. You can get it in there, it's really tight, but neither of these phones really fit in this back pocket very well on the nylon version. And of course the back pocket on the larger model is going to be gigantic, or pretty much whatever you want to put in here. Now having a look at the inside, again, both sizes of these slings are going to have pretty much exactly the same setup in terms of pockets, but there's 2 extra dividers on the larger 3.5 liter size. The smaller version has a stretchy sleeve on the back and another stretchy zipper pocket on the front side. Larger model, same setup, but larger sleeve here, 2 additional stretchy pockets on the front of that, kind of hard to see that, and the same large zipper pocket on the front side, just significantly larger. If you're trying to carry a tablet, the larger model is the way to go. All of these slings have padding on the back here. There's a back panel, not this little section here behind the pocket, but this main back panel has a padded sleeve. And I don't really have any tablets to show you. I have an e-reader, but I measured this. It's about 5.5 inches tall, 10 inches wide, or about 13.5 by 19.5 centimeters. So that's gonna fit. This is a Books e-reader, 7 3/4 inch screen. That's gonna fit in there. Not really a whole lot of room to spare. Also measuring it out, you could fit an iPad mini or a Nintendo Switch will also fit in this pocket. As far as packing these slings go, the size that you choose is obviously going to depend on what you're carrying, what you're using the sling for. This smaller stuff I think is really good for just your basic everyday carry pack. This is great for this big pile of small stuff. Phone, got a battery pack in here, little travel wallet, passport, sunglasses, a small extra little grocery bag, front pocket, some of the smaller gear, charger, keys, and a lip balm. So you can see that all packs nicely in there. It's a great little just everyday carry pouch. If you need considerably more room, 3.5 liter version is twice as large. This is big enough. Again, you're gonna carry tablets in here. That's the ebooks, also iPad mini or Nintendo Switch is gonna fit in here. This back pocket does have some stretch to it, so it's gonna fit stuff a little bit fatter. There's also plenty of room in here if you have a smaller water bottle. You're gonna be out for the whole day. You can put an umbrella here and or a little rain jacket, in addition to pretty much all that same gear, that small gear that I had in the other one. As far as the carry system on this sling goes, pretty simple, basic, large webbing strap, adjustable, so there's not going to be anything dangling off here, with a large Duraflex buckle. Again, the larger model has a slightly wider, this is a 1.5 inch webbing, and this is 1.25 on the smaller 1.5 liter model. Again, this thing just wears like a basic sling, front, side, back carry, pretty much any way you want to carry it. The strap is fairly long. I have it maybe 2/3 of the way out. If you want to run this down, adjust it pretty much out to max length, it's going to be hanging a little bit lower. So that's all I have for this overview and comparison of the Tomtoc Aviator. Again, this is the T35 in the X-Pac fabric, the T33 in the ripstop nylon. Please let me know in the comments below if you have any questions. And again, thanks for watching.